Hey folks, Blackcross here, and yeah, another vlog video time. Like I said, I want to do one at least once a month to where I can keep you guys updated on everything that goes on with my everyday life, as well as for the channel, as well as for, well, everything else. So, this past month had been kind of hectic, actually. That's what I'm going to say. It's basically hectic, because, you know, there was so many things that went on in just 1 week alone. It's enough to make anyone tired, really. Much less not want to go out at all. So, after what's all has happened, it's kind of hard to explain how I feel about everything. You know, first of all, the Orlando incident, it's a topic that it's so hard to talk about it, especially when you consider the fact that, you know, what happened and what it involves and what it entails. And then once the news actually started stirring up as to what was actually going on, the deeper details, everything started to click and everything just kind of like, it's one of those things of where you feel like you should say something, but at the same time there's nothing you can really say. If I could say anything at all, it would be that my prayers and my thoughts go to the families and friends who knows these people that was in the incident. And it's stuff like that that makes me wonder what goes on inside of a person's head. It's just, you know, they think the only way to solve things is with violence, but really, violence doesn't solve anything. It's something that bothers me the most is when stuff like this happens and people are like, why did it happen? And the truth is, it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened to begin with. If there was like an issue that person might have had, or maybe he had like some complication that kind of built up to this anger that he felt he had to take it upon himself to do something. Or maybe he was one of those, I don't know what you would call them, freedom fighters or whatever they think they're called, that they believe that they can change the world by simply using a single weapon. And they felt like that's the only way to change the world. No, that's not the case. And I wish people would start opening up to the world more and actually understand what goes on in the world. Like, the people that was in that bar were not bad people at all. Gays and lesbians, straight, black, white, Asian, Mexican, doesn't matter. No one's bad. It's just the way people take individual people. And what makes it hard is that we live in a world where there are millions of different people. Billions even. We might as well say billions instead of millions. But billions of people who live on this earth now, and each of us have different opinions. Each of us have different ideals. Now, are some of these ideals and differences good? Not all the time, but there is no doubt in my mind that a bunch of these people in this world are very creative. And they can be. But they have to be given the opportunity to show their creativity. And I'm afraid that's what happened in this event, you know, whenever they talked about all the different people, all the different things that they were going to do, what they were, what they did. It hurts. It hurts me to know that there were so many people who had ideals, who had plans that they wanted to do, things they wanted to see, things they wanted to achieve. And now that flame got destroyed before it even was able to light anything. Who knows, maybe that person could have lighted the way for somebody else who was even going through tougher times. And it makes me, there's so many feelings about that event that I really don't know what to say. And it isn't until I have the camera on and I'm talking to you guys that I feel like I could actually say something. And at first I was afraid to say anything towards that because I didn't know if anything that I would say would matter to anyone of that particular direction. But if what I say means anything to you guys, then that's all that I really need to worry about, is that if it gets to you. So, from the bottom of my heart and soul, I wish you nothing more than to say that I hope that everything that goes on in this crazy world that we live in right now is everything you hope and more. And I pray to the family and friends of the incident that I hope that they can get through this, and always remember that they will always remember you in heart and soul. It's just, again, it's hard for me to talk about it in a particular subject like this, but I felt like I needed to say at least something. On the other scale of things, E3 has finally passed through, and obviously the winner is Sony, more so. I think second place would have to go to like Microsoft, and admittedly so. And the reason why I say that is because they actually had the opportunity to show off their new console, and I think that probably won them the competition in second place. And that might be the only thing. There may be a bunch of games here and there that might have helped out, but as far as I know, I think Microsoft is getting a little bit better. They're starting to have a little bit of understanding what people want, even though they're still calling the Xbox One the all-in-one machine. It just, I think Microsoft needs to kind of degrade that ideal of the all-in-one machine, and instead should just concentrate on gaming, because that's what E3 is. E3 is strictly for games. It's not to encourage, television or any type of tech thing. If they wanted to be an all-tech station, they could have easily done that at a tech conference or something like that. I know there's a convention for stuff like that, and I think Microsoft would have done better. Just, if they were wanting to show off the console itself, they could have just done it in a tech convention. But, because they actually have games for the Xbox One, E3 would be the best place to do it. But, after reading reviews on the PlayStation Neo 4.5, apparently the reason why they didn't showcase it at this year's E3 was because of the fact that it was not actually done. It wasn't complete. They were still working some of the groundwork with it and just kind of fixing it up and getting it ready. But if I'm not mistaken, it's either going to be released this year or next year. I need to kind of read more info on that one. But in terms of whether the rumors are confirmed or anything like that, as far as we know, none of it's confirmed yet. It is still, at the moment, a rumor. With the exception of the fact that they're saying that it's more powerful than the previous PS4 system, which I have no doubt in my mind is possibly the case. And then, of course, we've got the NX that will be coming out sometime next year. And I'm surprised Nintendo didn't try to do something like that to encourage sales. And at the E3 conference itself, it was a two-day event, but for the first E3 conference, they only showed off 2 games. And that's not what you want to do. You want to be able to show more. You want to do a highlight reel, for crying out loud, Nintendo. Do a highlight reel of all the upcoming games that you've got going on that will be shown at E3. Do that. If you're not going to be invested with a conference for E3, why even hold one? You got Nintendo Direct, and just Delmar would tell me it was all what's going on afterwards of Nintendo, and all the stuff that they had makes me wonder why they didn't go ahead and show it at E3. It doesn't make sense. But I was reading all the info and all the different games that E3 had to offer. Some of them were interesting, some of them not so much so. Some of them I'm more or less keeping an eye on for further details. But there was this one game, and I forgot the title of it already. I know Jesse Cox talked about it on his channel. I think it was Day 2? It was either Day 2 or Day 3 he talked about it. No, it was Day 2. It had to have been. But anyway, he talked about this one game of where you were basically an assassin who had the ability to cast shadows, and you use the shadows to your advantage to defeat the opponents. And I like this idea. It's a very ideal that I'm surprised hadn't started up, because ninjas have always been in the shadows, so it's no surprise that they never use shadow-like element in order to attack enemies. You're able to blend in the shadows, you're able to warp into different shadows. basically, in a more sense, sort of a rip-off between everyday ninjas to that of like Naruto. What's his name that had the Shadow Shusu? I forgot his name all of a sudden. I'll be sure to put that in the video somewhere. I cannot remember names these days. That, and it's been a long time since I've watched Naruto. I've sort of stopped watching it after Naruto and Sasuke had their battle. I never watched the filler series. Even though people say they were pretty good, filler series tend to kind of meh. At the end, they were just meh. But on that note, that was the only other game that I could think of at E3 that I saw that had my absolute, like, okay, this looks like it'd be something to be mentioned, you know, but if I can remember the title of the game, I think it's In the Shadows, I think is what it's called. But again, I'll have to check that. And the reason why I don't remember stuff is because right now I've just kind of went through a whole day of different events. Which, by the way, if for some reason you happen to be a father, happy Father's Day to you guys. I just recently got back from town visiting with my father, actually. And he works really hard, and he works too hard in my personal opinion. But I guess that's to be expected. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I've got gaming and stuff like that that kind of preoccupies my mind, I'd probably be in the same boat that he is. But most people know where that goes in. But I also stopped by GameStop, mostly because to place a pre-order for future games in the future. But also, too, there was a shirt that they had that I really, really wanted. And this is that shirt. You can see it. Yeah, you can see it pretty much. On one end, which if you turn it... I'm gonna try, if I can anyway. Hopefully this won't be disoriented to you. If you can read that, good for you. But on one end, it says Iron Man, which I'm sure you can probably see it. I hope you can. And then if I turn this way it reads Captain America. So it's more or less a promotional thing to show off for Civil War, which I still haven't went and saw that movie. I'll probably end up renting it. I have been so busy, it is not even funny. I was actually wanting to go see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. Didn't get a chance to do that. And I'm wanting to go see Warcraft. But I don't know if I will or not. It all depends on how busy I get. It is not easy going to every movie that comes out. But from what I've heard from some people, especially for those who have never played World of Warcraft, they actually enjoyed it, this one. This was really good for them. And I'm glad to hear that, really. I'm glad that this movie actually succeeded expectation that most people didn't think it would be. It's good as a fantasy type thing, and it's good for... excuse me. It's good for the fantasy fans, and it's good for the Warcraft fans, so that's always a good thing to see happen in the movie industry, that video game type movies are making a big movement, and while they may not be like blockbuster hit, they are noticeable within the gaming community of appreciations, which is always a good thing in my opinion. But I might as well go ahead and talk about the updates at this point. That way you guys kind of know what's going on and everything like that, and hopefully in the future we will get to those things and you'll know what's going on. So, first update, as I'm sure you know, PvP series is back on, and there's going to be a total of, I think, how many were there again? I think 5 total. We've already went through 2 of them, being that of my strength build and my, as of the day of this video, this past Sunday, I just released in my miracle video. So, in other words, my sorcerer, pyromancy, and dexterity build will be shown. Spoiler alert, they aren't too good. They're not too good. But, I think, in the end, I still want to show them because I enjoy playing PvP enough to where I don't mind losing, and as instead, I consider it as a learning experience to whenever I actually do make the perfect PvP character, that is what I'm going to be doing. So, that's the ideal in that one form of way. But on another notion too, I've just recently, well, not just recently, actually it's been about a month ago, I'm slowly kind of working into playing Demon's Souls. It will be released. I think I'm going to start releasing the first video sometime this week. I'm thinking about releasing it every Saturday for two reasons. Number one, I'm taking my time with this one. I'm reading information, I'm kind of slowly grudging into the game, and I'm learning everything as I possibly can, because it seems kind of weird to play this game now, especially when you consider the fact that it's basically the very first, and in the best sense, the beta version of Dark Souls. That's literally what this is. It is a beta of Dark Souls. But it's a good beta. It's the kind of beta that you can play it and feel appreciative of the series that we've got up to this point. And that's what I've gotten so far. And at first it was relatively easy, but then later on, as you will see, it got incredibly hard all of a sudden. It's just, holy crap. And I've only beaten 4 bosses right now. As of right now, I've only beaten just 4, so it's kind of muscling into it slowly, but so far it's working out pretty good. But also, another big news to talk about. We're kind of slow starting it because of certain events, and I don't feel like I should talk about it because this is his stuff. And if he wants to be open up about it, I'll let him talk about it. But if not, then he doesn't have to. I want him to be comfortable with it. Me and TJ just had started our PvP, not PvP series. What the frick? Diablo 3. We're started recording Diablo 3. I'm gonna wait a little while until we can get videos stocked up, and then that way I can release them weekly, like I do with the Demon's Souls. You get what I'm saying? The Demon's Souls series. And I can start releasing them weekly. And the reason why I want to do this is because me and TJ, for some odd reason, we can never match our schedules up. We never could. We never. It has been incredibly difficult for us to get things. And the first time we tried to record, we were barely able to get 15 minutes of recording time in for some reason. Not because he didn't have time, but because I had problems with everything. Because the way some people showed off how to record the audio from your PlayStation onto the capture card was that you had to use a port type thing, which if I've got it out, I actually do. No, that ain't it. Okay, well, I'll try to explain it. Basically, it says to connect a splitter onto your PS4 controller and have that splitter, one end being connected to your headphone set and the other end being connected to the Elgato. And apparently, for some reason, because of that, it is a little bit more overwhelming for the capture card to take in. And thus it slows down. And it slows it just enough to where it kicks off the recording. And it just... It was really tedious and hard. But after this past recording we had, there was no lag, there was no problems. We were able to get through it relatively good and relatively quickly for just recording for an hour. So we did pretty good, I thought. And I was like, you know what? We can do this now. We can finally do this. We know what we're doing. We know what we can do. And we can actually record without any complication. But keep this in mind, because I only have one mic, the audio on my end might be pretty bad. And that's because the way I'm doing the recording section, I'm hooking up my microphone onto the PS4 to where TJ can hear me, and I've got the headphone sets connected to my new TV to where I can hear him. And all the audio, TJ's audio is being captured through the Elgato, while the audio that I'm recording for myself is being captured through this camera as we speak. So it's kind of like one of those things of where I was like, okay, I gotta figure something out. And then after doing enough research, I was like, you know what? I'm surprised I didn't think of this. It completely blew my mind of how I was like, how did I miss this ideal? Like, of course it might work. So after the first time trying to record, it was a success, and I was like, okay, good. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I better wait until I get a certain amount of videos built up, and then that way we can do this, you know. And the truth be told, if this channel gets successful enough, which I hope it does, I really do hope, I pray in God, I hope this becomes a big success. I would love to have TJ to be with me on this one. Sort of like how Gerard has Alex and like how Aaron has Danny. I want TJ to be right next to me for recording. I feel like that he can help me get commentary a little bit better, because some of the conversation me and him get into are fairly interesting. We usually get into fairly good conversations from time to time. So I feel like that our commentary, if we were to ever do this full time and not have to worry about working in the work industry, I think it would work out really well, and I think we wouldn't say we would be the best of Let's Play series, but I want to say it would be better than what I have been when I first started. So my ideals are kind of growing every single time I do this, and every single time I do recording. I always have like ideals of like what I want to do or what I want to see. Will all of that happen? It's too early to say, but I will say this much: I want it to happen. That's what I will say. I want it to happen so badly. And as of right now, it looks promising. It really does. And will I get to a certain amount? Will I be able to do this within a year? Doubtfully so, but that's not to say I don't hope it to be. Like I said, I would love to see the day come whenever I do this full time, but again, if it doesn't happen, you'll still see me, you'll still see my, myself acting a fool like I am, and just continuing to have fun with games, because that's really all that matters. It's just being able to play games that I have never played before until now, and just having fun and realizing how good these games have been. So that's kind of like the plan that I'm going for, but for the time being right now, this will do. So I'm surprised. I figured I'd talked a long time, but I've only talked for like 20 minutes. That's not bad, actually. But I guess that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to, talk about a few things that have been kind of setting with me for a while, and I felt like, you know what, it's been a while since I've done a vlog. I want to go ahead and talk about a few things. So, if you enjoy this vlog, thank you so much. Like I said, I want to keep doing this for once a month, even if it's just to say hi to you guys or something like that, or anything. So, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, this is Black Crocs wishing you a wonderful day, and may God bless you. Take care, guys.